tonight at 9 on WOUB.
Tonight on Newswatch, the Ohio Senate passes a bill that will overhaul the state's energy plan, but major utility providers are pushing back.
We're going to be returning education very simply back to the states where it belongs.
Trump signs an executive order to begin dismantling the education department. What does this mean for the future of students in America?
And in sports, March Madness is in full swing, and Maysville earns a state title behind a legendary performance by Gator Nichols. Newswatch starts right now.
After beautiful sunny days this week, the clouds are moving in. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Joshua Herner.
And I'm Ty Carpenter. Welcome to Newswatch. First, we'll go to our weather forecaster, Isabel Isco. Isabel, are the clouds bringing any rain to our region this weekend?
Unfortunately, it is looking like we're getting some rain currently out there. We're having this system moving its way through, giving us some clouds currently. We're having some break. We're having some sunny skies right now, but those clouds are on their way, and it's going to give us some rain. Our temperatures have also been on the lower side. Like you said, it was very, very sunny as we went through the week this week, but last night made it to those mid-20s, and then today made it to those mid-50s once again. Currently, Athens 54. We're looking at Lancaster 52 and Huntington at 56, but those temperatures are going to be pretty consistent this weekend. Currently 54, and with this weekend, these temperatures being pretty much average for spring here in Athens, it is going to be a windy one out there. We're having those winds coming in at 8 miles per hour, and we're having some gusts. Right now, gusts are at 16 miles per hour out there, and that's just going to continue into this weekend. Tonight, we're having the overnight low of 42 with these mostly cloudy skies making their way in, and then by this time tomorrow, having some rain possibly making its way through before we get sunny once again. I'll be talking about that in my full forecast. Let's take it back over to Joshua.
Thanks, Isabel. The Ohio Senate unanimously passed a bill that will introduce a new energy generation program for the state. This bill comes into place as Ohio is forecasted to experience electricity shortages in 2 years. It will overhaul the system as power-intensive consumers, such as data centers, put increasing pressure on the grid statewide. The priority legislation ends direct subsidies to some solar power projects, like 2 controversial Ohio Valley electric cooperative power plants. Major utility providers, AEP Ohio and First Energy, are the biggest opponents to the bill. Columbus joined several cities in a lawsuit in federal court challenging the Trump administration's freeze on federal funding for community-based programs. That includes a federal grant through the Columbus Recreation and Parks Department to restore the tree canopy in historically black neighborhoods. The city had received a $500,000 U.S. urban forestry grant to plant the trees and has already spent nearly $400,000. The city would be on the hook for that amount if the Trump administration doesn't cover the bill or delays it. The city said it would have to pay that amount with capital funds.
The dismantling of the Department of Education is officially underway. Yesterday, President Donald Trump signed an executive order directing the Education Secretary to take steps towards the department's closure. Lead Waldman has more.
We're going to be returning education very simply back to the states where it belongs.
While it would take an act of Congress to completely eliminate the Department of Education, President Donald Trump is fulfilling a campaign promise by beginning to dismantle it.
The Department of Education will be much smaller than it is today. As you know, the president's executive order directed Linda McMahon to greatly minimize the agency.
The Department of Education was created by then-President Jimmy Carter in 1979. It oversees national education policy and administers federal grant programs for schools across the country. Kim Anderson, executive director of the National Education Association, worries children in public schools will suffer if it is dismantled.
This is going to impact every student across the country because of the reach of federal programs and federal funds that provide the resources that students need to thrive.
Thursday, Trump made assurances that 2 of the DOE's key programs, Title I, which provides funding for low-income schools, and the IDEA program, which provides schools with money to meet the needs of children with disabilities, won't be impacted. Anderson has her doubts.
There is no way that when you cut funding, can you have the kinds of small class sizes that ensure that students get the attention that they need.
In New York, I'm Lee Waldman.
President Donald Trump says the Small Business Administration will take up the Department of Education's student loan portfolio. His announcement comes less than a day after he signed an executive order beginning the process of dismantling the department.
I've decided that the SBA, the Small Business Administration, headed by Kelly Loeffler, a terrific person, will handle all of the student loan portfolio. We have a portfolio that's very large, lots of loans.
According to two sources, the student loan portfolio totals a staggering $1.8 trillion in debt, and an estimated 40% of loans are past due. Trump also announced that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and the Department of Health and Human Services will lead funding efforts for special needs students.
The Trump administration will have to resume handing out millions of dollars worth of grants to address teacher shortages. The decision from a federal appeals court leaves in place a temporary restraining order that put an end to the Department of Education's removal of K-12 funding programs. Administration officials say the cuts were a part of Trump's effort to slash diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. Democrat State Attorney General legally challenged the issue. They say the termination notices didn't include any evidence that the training programs were involved with DEI efforts in an illegal way.
Congress cut benefits to Medicaid, sparking protests across the nation. Nurses in Texas protested outside one of their U.S. senators' offices in Austin. Jamal Kennedy has more on what they're saying.
Nurses marched to Texas Senator John Cornyn's district office Thursday, demanding he hear their appeals to save Medicaid for Texans.
It's not just going to affect, our elderly patients or our children on CHIP. It's going to affect the entire hospital system.
Austin nurse Monica Gonzalez was one of the many faces leading the charge Thursday afternoon.
We nurses know that health care is a human right.
As the federal government considers major budget cuts, they want lawmakers to realize the negative impact cutting Medicaid would have on their constituents, like the 4.2 million Texans currently enrolled.
There's people right now who are afraid of losing their benefits.
For ICU nurse Taylor Crittenden, cuts to Medicaid in Texas will mean something much worse.
Taking away the safety net of Medicaid is going to cost people lives. That's just the bottom line.
During their march, the group of nurses carried with them a check totaling more than $57 billion, which symbolizes all the money allocated to Medicaid in Texas. They tried delivering it to Senator Cornyn's office, but were denied entry to the building.
What do we do?
Still, they want their message to be heard.
We're still hoping that he can hear us when we say this is not okay. Our patients are not for sale.
The demonstrators were also protesting possible cuts to the Children's Health Insurance Program, or CHIP. The Athens City School District is drafting new plans for a new high school, and today it released a 3D model of the building. The building will sit across High School Road from the old building. The district says it will cost about $58 million to complete. Construction starts this year, and the building is projected to open in 2027.
Applications to the annual Athens County Back to School Bash are closing soon. The Athens County Department of Jobs and Family Services is accepting applications until April 7th, and they're not accepting late applications. All students are eligible to apply. You can find applications at various JFS buildings and services around the county, or you can print the application at jfs.athensoh.org. Accepted families can pick up school supplies, shoes, and clothing at the event on July 23rd in Nelsonville. A new conservation program is giving landowners a reason to protect their forests. The Nature Conservancy's Family Forest Carbon Program connects private woodland owners to the carbon market, offering financial incentives for forest preservation. Landowners promise not to cut more than a quarter of their tree inventory for at least 20 years. In return, the Conservancy pays them around $200 in carbon credits for each acre protected. Athens resident David Funk was the first to enroll in the program. And coming up, are your kids getting enough sleep at night? Find out when to be concerned about kids' sleep schedules.
And a Boeing whistleblower died last year, and the family isn't letting the company get away scot-free.
Some rain's moving in for this weekend, and just how hot are those temperatures getting this week? Next on Newswatch.
On American Experience, a look at the decades-long struggle for disability rights in America.
We feel like we're building a real social movement.
There are barriers every single step of the way.
But we realized that people with disabilities could be a political force.
Our time has come. Pass this bill now.
Change, not charity. The Americans with Disabilities Act on American Experience.
Tuesday at 9 on WOUB.
You think you're on one trajectory in your life, and it makes a left-hand turn.
We need each other, because this is tough.
Funk's primary purpose is to get people moving.
It can literally reach and touch you in places that may surprise you.
Michael has a big love for the world.
There's a part of him that is a showman.
I had no idea what I was doing, except that I was having fun, taking pictures.
I didn't know what a caregiver was. I didn't know what Alzheimer's was.
Everything has changed.
I know it'll be different, but I'm really hoping that we can feel connected.
When you're in the library, everyone's equal. We're a place where people come together. We need more of that in this country, not less of it.
It's been a difficult road. We always come back.
Asking tough questions to those in power.
There is this consensus that Democrats are somehow out of touch with the voters.
All of us have to do a better job of seeing the very real pain that exists across this country.
What did you make of the high degree of dysfunction within the Republican conference?
I always felt that it was broken.
And covering events as they unfold.
This continues to be a dangerous situation. Almost everyone is either evacuated or lost a home in this fire.
Taking a look at our temperatures all throughout southeast Ohio, Athens currently 54, Lancaster 52, Huntington 56. Our temperatures are going to cool down quite a bit tonight, not as much as we saw last night. We're going to be in those mid-40s for tonight. Those sunny skies are going to be going away quick here very shortly with this cold front moving its way through. Our temperatures aren't going to be cooling down too much. It mostly is going to be bringing us some clouds and some rain for our weekend. We're seeing those clouds starting to make their way through, and it's going to be hitting us even more tonight with those mostly cloudy skies for tonight and our overnight low of 42. These clouds are going to be bringing in some rain for our overnight. We're having most of our rain hit us for our Saturday in the morning. So if you have any Saturday day plans, you are going to be free from most of that rain. It is looking like right now. And most of that rain is supposed to be hitting us before the about 9 a.m. mark. So if you have to wake up early for your Saturday, you might need to bring that umbrella. But during the day, it is looking like we're just going to have some clouds, and most of that rain is moving its way south for just a little bit before we hit Sunday. Once we hit 24 hours ahead, like I said, most of that rain is moving out before we get hit with another cold front, which is going to be moving another system in for our Sunday. But tomorrow, 20% chance of showers possible, mostly before that 9 a.m. mark, high of 55. Combined with that, these showers making its way through, our temperatures are going to be cooling down quite a bit. Temperature high 55 and that low way cooler than today of 28. Once we get to our Sunday, we have this other system moving its way through. Having this cold front, it isn't going to be cooling us down too much more than it is going to be for our Sunday, but it's going to be making another system of rain moving its way through. Mostly during the midday on our Sunday, we're having about a ½ inch of rain from about that 5 p.m. mark on until about our Monday morning. So again, for your Monday morning, you might need that umbrella. Sunday during the day, you might need that umbrella. But other than that, it won't be too much rain, just kind of to put a damper on our weekend. But once we hit Monday, those partly sunny skies are making their way back out. And mostly after that noon mark, we'll be looking pretty sunny for our Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll have some showers, and then we'll be warming up once again, looking at that 7-day outlook. This weekend is the coldest temperatures on our overnight lows, 28 for our Saturday, and then Sunday, Monday, warming up just a little bit with that high of 60 on Monday with those partly sunny skies. Tuesday and Wednesday is whenever that next system is moving its way through, giving us that light chance of showers for our midweek. And then Thursday, Friday, another warm up in there this time next week. 10% chance of rain looking like Friday, but you're going to have to stick with us just to see how much of that rain we're going to be getting. Hopefully we'll be making it past this weekend and not really need that umbrella quite too much next week. Let's take it back over to Ty.
Thanks, Isabel. With allergy season approaching, you might want to check your medicine cabinet. Arsenal Liquid Benadryl issued a recall on their Amazon product. The medicine contains an active ingredient that requires a child-locked bottle, but it lacks one. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says this is a poison hazard and it should be returned. Only the bottle is being recalled, but it's advised to throw out the whole thing. The medicine was sold on Amazon between 2023 and 2024.
It's a vital part of mental and physical health. Sleep is important for everyone, and especially children and teens, as it plays a role in growth and development. Many children experience sleep problems, and if left untreated, there can be lasting effects.
During sleep, the body is at work, supporting healthy brain function and keeping up physical health. But getting those Z's doesn't always come easy. Around 35% of parents reported to the CDC that their child sleeps less than what's recommended for their age.
Sleep disturbances are really common in kids.
Dr. Scott Hadlin with Mass General for Children says sleep sets the stage for the kind of day a child will have, affecting school performance and how they engage with others. Those who don't get enough sleep are at increased risk for injuries, obesity, type 2 diabetes, poor mental health, attention and behavior problems, and poor cognitive development.
The key here is to understand when there's an issue.
Hadlin says there are 3 reasons parents should seek care for a child's sleep habits. First, if sleep disturbances are persistent, happening multiple times a week for a long period of time. Second, if the sleep issues are leading to daytime problems. Finally, if you suspect a medical problem, for example, heavy snoring or gasping, could be a sign of obstructive sleep apnea.
I think the other thing I would say is that if a child does wake up in the middle of the night with some kind of sleep disturbance, it's really important for parents to respond calmly, because that will help their child fall back asleep more quickly.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Dr. Hadlin says when it comes to sleep, consistency is key, so children and teens should have consistent bedtimes and wake-up times, even on the weekends. He says to avoid screen time an hour or 2 before bed, and to instead use that time to set them up with a good night's sleep with calming activities like reading.
The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services sets a new date for a postponed meeting about vaccine approvals. Today, the HHS says independent vaccine advisors to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention will meet mid-April. The rescheduled date comes after the CDC's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices postponed the annual February meeting. The ACIP will now meet on April 15th and 16th. According to the HHS, the meeting will include discussions on vaccines, the ongoing measles outbreak, influenza, and more. The group will also vote on the safety and effectiveness of vaccines for meningococcal disease. The family of a Boeing whistleblower who committed suicide files a wrongful death lawsuit against the aerospace giant. A Boeing quality control manager who worked at the company for more than 30 years died a year ago from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He had been questioned for days about being a whistleblower lawsuit against Boeing. The family's lawsuit accuses management of pressuring the man into not documenting defects so the company could keep up with its production schedule. The suit further alleges Boeing retaliated against the worker, and that was in 2017.
Next in sports, more than 31 million brackets were created this year. Less than 1% are still perfect, and how another Southeast Ohio school claimed state title.
It's definitely a story that needs to be told.
When he came home, he was Jewel Huffman. When he walked out to go to work, he was Mr. Cartoon.
He's the type of guy that he just lets you feel you're his friend.
One of the things that Jewel Huffman showed everybody was you have to be human.
You made my life something special.
Monday at 9 on WOUB. For more than 70 years, WOUB Public Media has been the place where people in our region turn to learn how stories of the past ignite the imagination of the future. It's where information, entertainment, and education work together to inform, enlighten, and inspire generations. It's the place where the community gathers to hear and see our world in new and innovative ways. WOUB, the public media you trust that's worthy of your support.
WOUB is recognizing members of our Cornerstone Society. The Cornerstone Society is a group that wants to ensure the future of public media in our region. It includes people across our area who value news, entertainment, and cultural programming, as well as the educational services WOUB provides. Also included are graduates of Ohio University who took part in the WOUB Student Professional Development Program. Thanks to the Cornerstone Society for their generous support. To learn how you can be involved, email woub@woub.org.
In some ways, Portsmouth was one of the last small cities to field a team and get a franchise. What was kind of extraordinary about Portsmouth was it was able to field an incredible team. For a brief moment in the sun, a little sweet spot that almost was sweet enough to get them a national championship, but they put together the team that ultimately did win the championship in 1935 in Detroit.
Second state title in school history, second in a row that is, and they finished the job this time after losing last year with a state title. Gator Nichols was a force behind Maysville's redemption from last year's loss in the state title game. In a back-and-forth game featuring excellent offense, Nichols was on another level. Nichols, seen here in Maysville's 74-44 win over New Lexington in the combo, finished with 36 points in the Panthers' 74-67 win over Glenville. He led a rally to overcome a 65-60 Glenville lead with 3 minutes left. It's been a hectic March thus far, McNeese hanging on to beat Clemson and Michigan surviving against UC San Diego. But that tournament always begins with a first four, and Cincinnati's own Xavier closed out the four with a win over Texas. Going into the second half, trailing 47-39, the Musketeers rallied to outscore Texas 47-33 in the second half. Trailing by as many as 13 in the half, it was Xavier's largest comeback of the season. While Marcus Foster and Zach Fremantle led the scoring for the Musketeers, the game saw substantial efforts from Ohio natives. Two Columbus natives, Jerome Hunter, and Dalen Swain, scored 9 and 11 points respectively. Cleveland's own John Hughley IV chipped in another 3 points and 2 boards. Xavier fended off the best efforts of Trey Johnson, a projected NBA lottery pick. The freshman led the Longhorns in scoring with 23 in what might have been his final collegiate game. Xavier now gets ready for 6th-seeded Illinois in the round of 64. Two other teams are set to play in the tournament tonight, the Akron Zips and Kentucky Wildcats. The 13th-seeded Zips, the MAC champions, are prepared to face the 4th-seeded Arizona Wildcats in Seattle, while the 3rd-seeded Kentucky Wildcats prepares to face the 14th-seeded Troy Trojans in Milwaukee. Akron needs some magic, but this has been a special season for the Zips. After losing star Enrique Freeman, MAC Player of the Year last year, Akron won the most games in school history. Akron lost a single game in conference play to Ohio, and it was their only loss in 2025. They survived a thriller against Miami of Ohio in the MAC championship game. The Zips scored the 8th most points in the nation, but their defense ranks 255th. They will have to beat the Wildcats in a shootout. Their opponent has struggled in recent tournaments, never advancing past the Sweet 16 despite earning a 2 seed twice. Arizona infamously fell to 15th-seeded Princeton Tigers, in the round of 64 in 2023. And year one of the Mark Pope era, the Wildcats have rebounded to earn a 3 seed in a stacked SEC. The Wildcats entered the tournament on a cold spell, finishing the year 5-4. They finished the year with a blowout loss to Alabama in the SEC tournament 99-70. Mark Pope's style has transferred over to the Wildcats seamlessly. The Wildcats run an up-tempo offense, but they have the 324th ranked defense in the country. Otega away leads Kentucky in points per game and is tied for steals per game, leading the Wildcats. While the men's bracket got started yesterday, the women's bracket got underway today. Kentucky was the first team to enter the fray in the region, escaping Liberty by a single point. The vaunted Ohio State Buckeyes are currently underway against Montana State. While the Buckeyes have an impressive 25 wins, Ohio State enters off a 75-46 rout at the hands of UCLA. Ball State cruised to the MAC title, but faces a tough opponent in the first round, the Ole Miss Rebels. West Virginia, led by back-to-back Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year J.J. Quinterly, squares off with Ivy League champion Columbia tomorrow. I'll send it back to the desk.
Thanks, Charlie. Still ahead, basketball fans make long journey to their favorite team to watch their favorite team play. Find out if their team was able to take home the win when Newswatch returns.
Make way for the Queen, please.
That's just fantastic.
Ready, sir. This day has been long in coming.
At a time of brutal division, she redefined what it means to be a monarch.
Do you imagine the peril in which you stand? I shall not tolerate this defiance. Reputation is everything.
You can't do everything yourself.
I'm a queen. I don't fear anyone.
Sunday on WOUB.
You're a mother-to-be, and I'm your midwife. The more you tell me, the more I can help you.
The Board of Health have declared war on Nonata's house.
What are we going to do, sister?
We are going to fight back. This is our place in the community.
We are going to do this together.
Stop skimming.
Stop scrolling.
Just listen.
100 years ago today, they walked away from the
All you need
in one place.
every afternoon.
Los Angeles. I fell in love with pinball 6 or 7 years ago.
All things considered from NPR.
Militant accelerationists are neo-Nazis who want to use terror and violence to bring down our government and create a new white ethno-state.
What's interesting about this collective is how transnational it is.
These people on Telegram were trying to stir other people to commit acts of incredible violence.
Tuesday at 10 on WOUB.
A rogue goat on the highway sends police officers in Akron on a chase. Video from the night shows officers in hot pursuit of the animal along a busy highway before they managed to wrangle the four-legged fugitive. The goat had no tags, chips, or markings to indicate where it came from. A local rescue group picked the goat up and took her to a farm where she has been named Fugitive.
It's day 2 of March Madness, and some fans were excited to see their team in the big dance for the first time. Fans from the University of Omaha, Nebraska traveled 20 hours to see their team take on St. John's in the first round of the NCAA tournament. And they sounded pretty excited when they landed in Rhode Island.
It took us 20 hours. We took a pit stop.
Despite all the fans' excitement and a back-and-forth first half, the Mavericks ultimately fell to St. John's 83-53. But guys, it's great to see these small schools get an opportunity in the big dance, get their name out there, and let their athletes shine.
Yeah, of course, it's an exciting event every year. We look forward to it every year. It's exciting for fans all over the country, and of course, some want to tailgate there, so they need that good weather. Isabel,
oh yeah,
what's that weather looking like?
Oh, for this weekend, it is going to be looking like it is going to be on that rainy side. Athens currently 54 and clear, but those temperatures are going to be sticking pretty average to spring here in Athens at those mid-50s. Tonight, we're going to have this wind moving in, those gusts up to 16 miles per hour, making it feel a little bit colder than it will be at that overnight low of 42, mostly cloudy skies, and we're going to get some rain for our Saturday very early in the morning, and then Sunday in the evening and into the night. Once we get past Sunday, Monday we're going to be a lot warmer and a little bit sunny in there. Going to enjoy that sun while it's around, because Tuesday and Wednesday there is that little bit of chance of showers possible. You're going to need that umbrella for just this weekend and those couple days in there. And then Thursday and Friday, again this time next week, we are looking like we're in those mid-60s once again with that high of 63. A cloudy week upcoming, and it is looking a lot more spring-like out there.
Well, that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. For Charlie Ehlenfeld and Isabel Isco, I'm Joshua Herner.
And I'm Ty Carpenter. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. Have a great night.